It's the Mike Francesa Podcast on the BetRivers Network.
The Mike Francesa Podcast on the BetRivers Network, and it's brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. All right, we start this Monday morning with a couple items on the board. Number one, with 2 games into the NBA Finals, and the Celtics held serve in their building, despite the fact that the Mavericks had their chances last night in game number 2. But things are going to have to improve dramatically for the Mavericks, and very quickly, meaning game number 3 Wednesday night in Dallas. At the end of that game last night, the postgame was lauding White for a block. Hey, Washington got fouled on that play. It really screwed up the end of the game and killed any chance. And I'm not saying that Dallas would have won the game. I don't know if they would have. But they might have been down 2 points with the Celtics taking possession, because Brown fouled him. I mean, he put his hand squarely in the middle of his back. You put your hand in the middle of the back of a player who is in front of you driving to the hoop, it is an automatic foul. You're going to hear that the NBA is going to tell you that was a foul. It was clearly a foul. It wasn't even a question. Yes, they blocked the shot, but they pushed him in the back first. So, I mean, that was a ridiculously bad call. And it's ended the game right there, because they had no chance after that. Now, I'm not saying they would have won. Plus, that's the only opportunity they had to win the game. They have to play way better. If you're going to have games where Holiday is going to outscore Irving by 10 points, 26-16, we can go home now. The series is over. If Irving doesn't pick his game up enormously, and to win the series, he is going to have to get past the defenders, and the mental block are getting treated badly in Boston. If he can't do that, they can't win the series, because they cannot win the series without his offense, especially on the road. They don't have enough offense if he is going to go 13 for 37 and 0 for 8 from 3. They cannot win. They don't have enough firepower. He has got to be a major scorer in the series, and right now, he isn't even a mediocre scorer in the series after 2 games. Plus, the rest of the team, other than Luka, goes 2 for 17 from 3. Do you know how many wide-open shots they missed in Boston? Now, they probably won't miss those shots in Dallas. And they have to quicken the pace on offense. That is critical. Get the ball out of Luka's hands. Don't let Luka slow the offense down completely, and push the ball. Plus, Luka cannot have 8 turnovers. Listen, he had a triple-double. He's going to score his 30 points every game. We know that. I mean, 32 is almost a bare minimum for him. We know that. 32, 10, and 10 is his game. We know that. But he can't have 8 turnovers. Not 8. He can have a couple of turnovers. He's going to have a couple of turnovers. But he cannot have 8 turnovers. And he had a critical throwaway when they were down 6 points in the backcourt. A terrible throwaway. But the supporting cast, which you don't count Irving as part of the supporting cast. You count him as part of the 1-2 punch. Then the supporting cast comes. I don't have any problem. I think in Dallas, I think that Washington and Jones and maybe even one more guy you can count on, okay, will come through enough to get you through Game 3. Gafford could be the guy, okay? Maybe somebody else steps up and has a decent game. Maybe Lively steps into the action, which he hasn't done in the first 2 games. They're playing him very sparingly. He could get a ton of rebounds. He could really hurt them on the offensive glass. I would try to use him in Game 3. Okay, but they have to push the ball. They have to take the ball out of Luka's hands. Don't make him the primary ball handler as much. Their defense has been fine except for Porzingis. Now, did Porzingis get hurt at the end of the game last night? It looked like he might have. If he did, and that's an issue, that's a big plus for Dallas. But the series is Game 3. If Dallas doesn't come back with a resounding win in Game 3, then there's nothing to watch. That's all there is to it. And Irving has got to join the series. He's got to have a 25-plus point game. And really, we're looking for more than that in this series. He's 0 for 8 from 3. Last night, the supporting cast shot 2 for 17 from 3. Now, the Celtics didn't shoot the ball well last night. That's why the game was close. But Holiday killed him. He went 11 for 14, scored 26 points. If he's going to get 26 points and 11 rebounds, they're dead. Tatum can't put the ball in the ocean. And they keep making excuses for him. You know, when he misses every shot, they tell you how good he's rebounding. I mean, that's nonsense. You can't be a superstar and go 6 for 22 on your own court. That's all there is to it. Boston isn't that good, but Dallas played terribly in the first 2 games. Terribly. If they don't have another gear, this thing is long over. Now, I have to admit, I was in Saratoga for the weekend. I had a long day at the track Saturday with the Belmont. I got there at 10 o'clock in the morning. I left at 7:30 at night. I didn't want to go out, so I sat there and watched the hockey game. And usually when the Rangers go out, I stop watching. This grabbed me. Florida grabbed me. I'm interested in the Florida team. And then I have to tell you, I hadn't watched Edmonton. I never watched Edmonton. I know how good McDavid's supposed to be. All right, I understand that. I understand he's won 3 MVPs. I understand all the lore, blah, blah, blah. But, boy, what a beautiful passer. And how good was the passing on their power play. But the goalie was all world. I mean, that's a game where it's very hard on the Edmonton hierarchy for this reason. They played well and lost. They did everything right, but they got stoned by a goalie. Just stoned. He was brilliant. Game 2 tonight, and I'm into it. I'm going to watch it. I'm into the series. I have to admit, I'm rooting for the Panthers. I like them. I liked how their coach acted in the Rangers series. I like him. I also am pulling for the owner, who I know a little bit. So I'm rooting for Florida, and they're a game up. But boy, I can't believe how beautifully Edmonton passes the puck. Oh, my God. What magnificent. Pretty almost. Yankees pull out a game yesterday. So the Mets pull out a game, but when the Mets pull out a game, it gets them to, one game closer to 500. But Yankees, psychologically, the Yankees needed to beat the Dodgers a game. They couldn't have the Dodgers come in and sweep them 3 straight. In front of the nation, in front of those crowds, the whole thing. Both pitchers were good. They both made some mistakes. They got the ball up in the zone. Hill would like to have the pitch back. He threw Burks. He threw Betts. The pitch he threw Betts, would like to have back for that 2-run double. And then, obviously, they couldn't get Teoscar out the whole weekend. And Judge is on a run that is just mind-boggling. I mean, it's one of the great runs we've seen. It really is. Remember how slow his start was and what he's done now. And, I mean, his last 30 games are just scary. I mean, they really are. They're absolutely scary. I mean, in very, very short order, really short order, he has hit 18 home runs in really short order. I mean, and his performance, his numbers overall, they're unbelievable. He is right now as tuned in as a player can be. I mean, you can't get into a better groove than he is in right now. It's really almost scary. His numbers for the season now, look at that, 24, 59. He's hitting over 300. Remember how bad he was early in the season? I mean, his last 30 games, 104 at-bats. So that's a very good sampling. He's scored 34 runs. He's got 43 hits. He's hit 413 in his last 104 at-bats. he has 17 homers and 38 RBIs. In his last 30 games, he has 34 runs scored and 38 RBIs and 17 homers. His on base is 530. His slugging is almost 1.1 for the month. Slugging. I mean, the numbers are they're staggering. They're absolutely staggering. 1738, 413 in his last 100 at bats. His last 50 at bats, he has 9 homers. And how comical. What moment showed you how fickle fans are? How transparent and fickle fans are than that moment in the game last night when Grisham, who was hitting 083, and now listen, I told you that Grisham was going to get key at-bats this year because somebody was going to get hurt, and that I liked him, and I felt like, boy, that was a bad call. The guy can't get out of his own way. I know he's hit a couple of home runs, but he's batting 083. So I'm like, boy, I know we could feel the position. He's getting a couple of walks, but, man, 083 is scary. He gets in the batter's box last night, and what goes on in Yankee Stadium? Everyone starts chanting for Juan Soto, who can't right now go to the plate. They're not going to risk him being injured. They still might put him on the list so that he can get a little more time off. He's probably going to miss a week in total, maybe a couple of days more. They're just being cautious right now. We could probably play if it was the World Series. We know that, but they don't want it to linger all season. As the fans are basically disregarding and embarrassing Grisham at the plate by, chanting for Soto. Now, listen, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a superstar player. I think, without any question, Grisham understands the situation. They want to see their star up. He's on the bench. They want him to pinch hit. They want a dramatic moment. They want to beat the Dodgers. And what does he do? He turns around and rockets the ball into the lower deck, a la Soto. Biggest hit he's had. Huge hit for the Yankees. Game winner. National TV, prime time, game-winning 3-run jack. And then the fans are pouring adoration on him as he goes around the bases. These same fans who 2 seconds ago didn't want him in the batter's box. Wanted him out of the game. Now they're hailing him as he goes around the bases like, hey, we had you all the time. We were with you all the time, baby. Do you still want Soto to pinch hit as the ball went into the seats? That was hysterical. Absolutely. And that shows you just how fickle fans are. Those chants for Soto turned to wild, hysterical cheers as Grisham hit it 15 rows deep for a 3-run homer and hit the game winner. He's got a swing made for Yankee Stadium. I told you, I said he'd hit 10 to 13 home runs, to 15 home runs this year. Now, he's not going to get enough at bats probably to get that many, but he's got a home run swing. I understand he's only hitting, 100 on the season, but the guy's only got a couple of hits, and he's got 3 homers already. When he hits the ball, it goes out of the park because he's got a Yankee Stadium swing. He's had 50 at bats. He's got 5 hits. He's got 3 homers. And one thing about him is he can steal a base, and he catches everything. Everything. He's a really good fielder. And he will be a valuable player. I told you all year he will be a valuable player. And I also told you Verdugo was going to be a really perfect fit for the Yankees. And I think he has. I said he'd get 50 extra base hits. I think he's well on the way to that. He's a double machine. And I think he'll get more comfortable and realize how to hook the ball into the lower deck. It's an art form. And it's one that lefties get better at as they spend more time at the stadium. They get better at being able to take that outside pitch and hook it into the lower deck. Nobody did it better than Mercer. Nobody. Now, for the season, you got to like what, Verdugo's got, he's got 34 RBIs, which is 8 homers, 34 RBIs, 14, 15 doubles. He's already got 23 extra base hits. We're not halfway yet. He's going to get his 50 extra base hits. I think he'll hit 20 homers. Or I think he will. He's only got 8, but I think he'll hit 20 because I think he'll get better at it. I think he'll understand that, hey, when I get a pitch on the outside corner, I don't have to go with the ball. I can hook some of these. When I get a really bad pitch out there that I can handle, I can hook it into the seats there. And it might cost him a couple of points on his batting average, but you know what? The way he plays there, you'd rather he hit 250 than 270 if he's going to hit a bunch more home runs in that ballpark. And as you see the Yankees, well, Judge can hit homers in Yellowstone. We know that. But you wonder why it was such a fight to get Cashman to put lefties back into this lineup. And you see what lefties bring to the stadium. Grisham wrecks the game last night. The guy's hitting 83, wrecks the game because he's got a Yankee Stadium swing. And he wrecked the game last night. Judge put the cherry on top, but you know what? It was a nice insurance run. But again, that game was one swing. One swing. A 3-run jack. That's what it was that broke the game open. And it came from the guy you were screaming to get out of the lineup. At that moment, you said, we have no faith in you. Get out of the box. And as you screamed louder to get him out of the box, it then turned to a wild, hysterical cheer as he deposited it 15 rows deep in the lower deck. That was perfect. That's what that was. He was going around the bases. And you know what he was thinking? Whatever he was thinking, you deserved it. He was thinking, man, I finally had my Yankee moment. All the newcomers always wait for their Yankee moment. He got his Yankee moment. Dodgers, averting a sweep. Big pitcher on the mound. And, he didn't pitch badly last night. I mean, yes, I thought last night that Boone left Heelan one. I thought he would get him out after 5. I didn't think he'd leave him in for the 6th. I was surprised he did. I thought after the Betts double and they tied the game, I thought he would have got him out after 5. So he wasn't on the losing end. He was. The Yankees went and got him. But, Glasnow last night, I understand he gave up 5 runs. At Yankee Stadium, you can do that because he gave up 2 fly balls that cost him 4 of those 5 runs. They're fly balls somewhere else. They're home runs there. But he had 12 Ks in 6 innings. I mean, he's got some repertoire. But that was an important game before the Yankees hit the road. It was an important game. It really was because as good as things have gone, and they have gone well, they didn't want the Dodgers to come in here and sweep them. And I understand Ohtani's popularity. And I understand, that there are going to be a lot of Dodger fans at the stadium. I don't have a problem with that. They have a right to buy tickets like anyone else, and we know New York has a tremendous amount of Dodger fans. A lot of Met fans always have the Dodgers in their back pocket and root for them when they're good. So, there's a lot of Dodger fans in New York. There always have been. But Do the Yankees need to sell Dodger stuff at Yankee Stadium to make money? I mean, is it to the point where you have to sell Dodger stuff? And I had a couple of fans say to me that the Yankees are selling all this Dodger stuff. And I guess the Yankees are figuring, hey, there's going to be a lot of Dodger fans at the stadium. There clearly were a lot. I mean, the place was, looked great for 3 days, but there were a lot of Dodger fans there. Just like there's a lot of Yankee fans everywhere that, wherever Yankees go, there's a lot of Yankee fans there. You know that. You see Yankee fans, Yankee hats in the stands, no matter what park you're playing in. Well, this was a case where they saw plenty of Dodger hats in the stadium. But you got to create Judge Ohtani stuff to sell. And you got to be selling, Ohtani jerseys all over the stadium. I mean, that's a little much. But I guess a buck's a buck. Now, the Mets, I got back from Saratoga yesterday morning. It was pouring when I left Saratoga. Wiped out the card yesterday. I wasn't staying for the Sunday card anyway, but I was listening to the Met game driving home, and I got in the house and I watched that wild ninth inning, and I can never remember ever seeing a double play like that to end the game in my life. That was the strangest double play that I can ever remember to end the game. It was really so bizarre. It was a terrific play, but it was just such a weird ending. And Harrison played me a soccer guy's call. One of the big soccer guys, I guess, did the games over there, the two games. His call of the ninth inning, he said, you got to listen to this. And I listened to it last night. I can't remember the guy's name, but his baseball call was so good. And first of all, you could tell he's a really good play-by-play announcer. He was a guy who could probably also morph into Shakespeare very quickly. He's got that kind of voice and diction, and he paints a Vince Scully-like word picture. And his call of it was really sensational. I don't know his name, but it was really good. But that was a major bailout. That made that trip back a whole lot better, getting the game there yesterday. I mean, it really did. And when you're watching that inning unfold, you think they're gonna lose the game. I sitting there saying they're gonna blow this game now. And to get the win the way they did on that most bizarre of, double plays. And I know that this backup catcher has become a darling. Not only that, I mean, the owner has embraced him as here's one of the guys. We got this guy for $100,000. Look how smart we are. Hey, he's a backup catcher who had a good week. He's your backup catcher. He's not even going to be a starter for you. When you're trying to look for kernels of optimism, when you're going to use the fact that you were smart enough to sign this backup catcher, who, as we know, has played himself probably onto the roster for the season. That's fine. He had a 2-home run week. He almost got one out yesterday. He had another hard base hit. He's hit .313 for his limited at-bats with the Mets. His OPS is over 1. I understand that. He's had and he made a great play at the end of the game. I understand he made a bad play earlier in the game when he should have been able to put the tag down. He didn't. He missed the ball on a good cutoff throw. Hey, that's nice, but he is a backup player. You're going to, use him to tell me you're going in the right direction? He's had a week here. He's a journeyman. And good for him. I think it's a nice story. But it can't be your theme. He can't be your theme. Because we all know in 3 weeks he's going to be hitting 250. And he's a backup anyway. You have a catcher. This guy's a journeyman. Like I said, nice story. And if he winds up staying on the roster all year and he makes you move what is a pretty good backup catcher, you know what? Go ahead. But that can't be what you're selling your constituency. The Mets are trying to make it, and this guy's had 16 at-bats so far, okay? And he got here. He's 28 years old already. He's bounced around. Good story. Heartwarming story. But here's the deal. The Mets and their owner are trying to make it seem that it's not raining out. It's really sunny out. Hey, we're in this thing. Hey, yeah, our record stinks, but we're only this many games out of the wild card because there's nobody in the National League playing decent baseball in the middle of the standings. There's a couple of teams that are playing well, the Phillies, the Dodgers. Atlanta is playing okay, not great. Milwaukee. And then you have a bunch of teams that right now could make the playoffs that are playing 500 baseball. So when you are 2 from the bottom in the league, only Colorado and Miami are behind you, you want to tell me that, but we're only 3 out in the wild card. That's because there's nobody playing decent baseball except, 2 teams have great records and a couple teams have okay records. That's it. But you can't go into this, it's sunny out when you're 8 games under 500 in June. And your bullpen is a, pick 'em and hope situation for the most part. And you don't have anything that even resembles a big-time pitcher in your rotation with Senga on the shelf. You got to make a decision about Alonso. And that's going to send a message. You obviously have a bunch of players that you can jettison here in the second half of the season. But this idea, hey, look at the fact we're only 3 out. Don't look at the fact we're 8 under. Doesn't work. The fans are smarter than that. A lot of them are willing to give you and Stearns time. Plus, they know that you have the resources as an owner to buy players, which gives them hope. It never strips them of their hope because you have a lot of financial resources. Although Cohen is probably more concerned about getting the land rezoned so he can try and get his Hard Rock casino built, which is I think the Mets might have a better chance of going to the World Series. Because it does not sound like he's getting that land rezoned. And without getting that land rezoned from parkland to commercial real estate, he can't do anything there. And everybody's wishing and hoping on a casino project in New York. The Yankees are too. They have one in Coney Island. Through that Legends Corporation. They're involved in one there. There's only going to be a couple that hit home And Cohen can't even get the politics going. So he's more concerned about that, I can tell you right now, than he is right now what's going on with the team. But I'm not saying he's not concerned with what's going on with the team, but he's trying to sell you with his chats that here's the sunshine. Things have been worse. Well, heck, when you tell your fan base, hey, you've had worse problems than this, that's not a great message, especially in New York. When you have to deal with the Yankees, who are sitting there at 46-21, and you're telling the team that's 8 games under 500, hey, guys, you've had it worse than this. Well, that's a great message. And then your message is about, a backup catcher, a career backup catcher who's clearly had a good week and has caught the eye of the manager and, may stay with the team all year, which is great. I hope Torrance stays with the team all year. He's a good story. But he's still a guy who's had 16 at-bats, and he's a journeyman catcher. That can't be your theme. So they have plenty of work to do. But at least they got out of London with a game. It would have been a long trip if they had blown that game in the 9th inning. Phillies blew that game twice yesterday. And their bullpen has been sensational, except it wasn't yesterday because it blew 2 leads yesterday. It blew a 3-0 lead, and then it blew a 4-3 lead. So the Mets showed a little resolve yesterday, and then the catcher, who had a great week, made a terrific play. Play of his career. I'm sure he was all smiles all the way back to the big city. But there's still 8 games under 500. That's reality. 8 games under 500. Yes, 3 in the loss. But I guarantee you, if it stays 8, that number will expand. It won't contract. It will expand. We'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Francesa Podcast on the BetRivers Network.